Welcome back to Play the Game HQ. I'm Daniel, and in this video, we're going to teach you how to play Ham Helsing from Fireside Games, who helped sponsor this video. Ham Helsing is a cooperative deck crafting game where players will work together over 5 rounds to fight minions and defeat the villain before Mud Canyon is destroyed. Unlike a deck building game where you level up and improve your abilities by adding new cards to your deck, Ham Helsing is a deck crafting game where you'll cycle through the same 10 cards for the whole game, but you'll have opportunities to purchase upgrades that slide into the sleeves and add new abilities to those cards. Before we get into setup, I want to go through a quick overview of the game. Ham Helsing is a cooperative game, meaning everyone will be working together to defeat the villain. The game is played over 5 rounds, and each round, every player will get a full turn where they'll use their cards to move around the board, attack minions and the villain, trigger location abilities, and trade with other players. You'll also gain money and other benefits from the minions you defeat and attacks you're able to land on the villain. Then you'll draw minions from the bag and add them to the board. At the end of each round, players can buy upgrades for their cards from the market, and then the villain takes their turn, which will move them closer to their ultimate goal of reaching and destroying Mud Canyon. The game can end in 4 different ways. You win if the villain's health is ever reduced to 0, and you lose if the villain still has health remaining after the 5th round, or if Mud Canyon exceeds its minion limit, or if all players are ever knocked out at the same time. If this is the first time playing, you will need to assemble the acrylic standees and the villain health dial, and you'll need to put all of the hero cards into their clear sleeves. You'll also put all of the round minion and minion effect tokens into the black bag. Once you've done that, you can move on to setup. To set up the game, put the board in the middle of the table and put the rat market board next to the side that says Hero Start. Then draw and place 1 minion from the bag on each location except for Mud Canyon and the Murky Woods. Those two do not get a minion at the start of the game. If you draw a minion effect token, just set that to the side for now and keep drawing until you've placed all 15 of the starting minions. Then put all those minion effect tokens you set aside back into the bag and mix it up and set that bag near the board. Put the shiny shield token on the not-so-secret lab and put Knuckles on his starting position at the bottom right side of the board. Next, separate the clear upgrade cards into their 2 decks. Attack cards only have icons down the left side, and special cards have a star at the top and special effect text at the bottom. Deal out 3 attack cards face up on the top row of the market board and deal out 3 special cards on the bottom row. Then put the 2 decks face down into draw piles next to their respective rows. Next, each player needs to set up their character. Each character has their own health value, base movement, and a special ability at the bottom of their player board. Everyone will play as a different character, so choose the character you want to use and take that matching player board, standee, and the 6 wooden cubes. 1 cube will go into each of the tracks on your player board. Everyone starts in the leftmost space of their skill tracks. Then put a cube in the pink outline space on your health track and the gold outline space on your money track. For Ham, that's the 1 gold space, and everyone else starts at 0. If you're playing with Ham, take the wood Katana of the Dead and put it on its space at the bottom of the player board. Put your character standee on the Mud Canyon space of the board where all of the players start, then shuffle your deck and put it face down to the left side of your player board and draw 4 cards. And now each player is ready to go, and it's time to set up the villain. In the villain deck, there's 4 different levels of cards. There's 5 of each level 1 through 3, and then a single level 4 card. Take 1 random card from each level and then stack them in a face-down deck with level 4 on the bottom, then level 3, then level 2, and then level 1 on top. The side showing the level and how many rounds remaining should be face up on each card. Then put the deck face down in the villain card section of the board and put all of the unused villain cards back in the box. Next, choose which villain you want to battle. There's 4 villains in the game, each one with their own matching villain board. We'll set up Hen since that's the recommended villain for your first game. Each villain has a starting health that changes based on player count shown at the top of their villain board and also in a chart in the rulebook. After you choose your villain, set their starting health on the villain health dial. We're setting up for a 2-player game, so Hen's health will start at 35. The villain board also has skull abilities that trigger on their turn, but only the first one is active at the beginning of the game. Cover the 2nd and 3rd skull power box with spider nest tokens and put the remaining spider nest tokens in the notch at the bottom of the villain board. Put the villain board, villain health tracker, and villain dice to the right side of the board next to where it says villain start. Then put the villain standee on the murky wood space on the right side of the map. Make a supply of indicator tokens where everyone can reach them, then give each player a reference card and choose a first player. Ideally, the last player to do something pig related would go first, but if nobody has interacted with the pig recently, just pick a random first player and give them the first player token. And now you're ready to get started. Ham Helsing is played over 5 rounds, and each round follows the same sequence. Each player will take their full turn, and then after everyone is gone, players will visit the market and have an opportunity to upgrade their cards. Then the villain takes a turn, and after that, you'll start the next round. Before we get into your turn, let's look at a few things that are going to make that easier to understand once we get into the actual gameplay. First, let's look at the board. The board has a bunch of different locations connected by lines. When you're moving around the board, each space you move to counts as one movement. You can move between any locations that are connected by a line, and the spaces on the edge of the board are connected, so you can move off of one side and wrap around to the other side. 5 of the locations on the board have special powers that you can use once per turn if you're on that location. They allow you to do things like draw cards and adjust skills, activate knuckles, and take the shiny shield, and each location power is described on the lower left side of the board. As you move, you'll encounter minions, which are these spider tokens. There's 2 kinds of minions. There's regular minions with the smooth borders and biting minions with the jagged edges on their colored borders. You can move freely through spaces with minions without any issues, but if you end your turn on a space with a biting minion, they will attack you after your turn. You'll also be attacking minions as you play, and biting minions will fight back, meaning that any biting minion that you defeat on your turn will cause you damage at the end of that turn, but you'll also gain money and upgrade skills by defeating minions, so there is a trade-off. Each location has a number next to its name. That's the minion limit for that location. At the end of each player's turn and the villain's turn, you'll check the number of minions on each location. If a location has more minions on it at the end of your turn than its limit, that location is lost and it becomes a nest. Nests have no minion limit, and they cause you 1 damage when you move through them, even if you don't stop at that location. And if you ever lose Mud Canyon, the game ends immediately. The last thing I want to look at before we get into gameplay is your player board. Everyone's player board has 5 sections. You have money, health, skills, storage, and your base movement and special ability. Anytime you spend money, you'll track it on the left side of your board. And anytime you gain health or take damage, you'll track it on the center track. Everyone has a base movement listed on their player board, so you're never hamstrung on your turn, even if you don't have any movement on your cards. And everyone has a special ability. For Ham, once per turn, you can discard 1 card to give 1 character anywhere 1 health. On the bottom right side of the board, there's 2 spaces for the sword and the shield if you ever have those in your possession. Ham starts with the sword, but you can share it with other players, so everyone has a space for it. And to the top right side of your board is where you'll track your skills. Everyone has the same 4 skills track on their boards. Certain actions allow you to increase skills, and you'll also move up these tracks by defeating minions with their matching colors. And some things, like the villain, may cause you to move down the skills track as well. If you ever reach the top space of one of the tracks, that gives you an attack in that color on your turn for as long as that cube is there. So being strategic with which minions you attack and how you advance these tracks can be really beneficial. The last thing we haven't really talked about is the villain board, but that doesn't come into play until the villain's turn, so we'll talk about that then. Now let's talk about your turn. Your turn has 6 steps. You're going to play cards, gain money and take damage from minions that you defeated, draw back up to 4 cards, then draw and place minions from the bag. Then you'll check location limits, and finally you'll take damage from any biting minions on your current location. The first and main part of your turn is using the actions on your cards. You start every turn with a number of cards in your hand, and you'll typically draw back up to 4 cards at the end of your turn, and those are the cards you'll start your turn with. But there are ways to draw more cards, primarily through actions on the cards you play and actions from other players. Also, if you end your turn in the same space as another player, you get to draw back up to 5 cards instead of 4, because teamwork. And your cards are public knowledge. You can and should share and even show what you have to all of the other players. Each card has actions down the left side of the card, and some have a special ability text at the bottom. At the end of each round during the market phase, you'll have opportunities to buy upgrades that slide into your card sleeves and add more abilities to the 10 cards in your deck. On your turn, you can use as many of the abilities on your cards and your player boards as you can and want to, in any order, and all of those abilities are pooled together and can be split up across your turn however you want. So if a single action on a card gave me 2 movement, I could move 1, make an attack, and then move again with that 2 movement. Later in the game, as you have more actions from stronger cards, if you need help keeping track of what you've used already, you can use these tokens to cover up actions as you use them. There's 9 different standard actions that you'll see on your cards. Movement allows you to move the number of spaces shown on the icon. Attack icons have 4 different colors, and then a wild icon that can be used as any color attack. And for colorblind friendliness, each color has a unique shape as well. Coins increase your money, which you'll track on your board. This icon lets you draw the top card of your deck into your hand. The heart increases your health by the numbers shown, and the star is a reminder that the card also has special action text. The Knuckles icon lets you deploy Knuckles the Bear to any location to scare off 2 minions. The colored cube lets you adjust your skills on your player board. And the dice flip icon lets you re-roll 1 villain dice when you're fighting the villain. Movement is pretty straightforward. Each space you move costs you 1 movement, and you can move from wherever you are to any space connected by a line, including looping around the board through the connected lines on the edge of the board. If you ever move into a nest space, you immediately take 1 damage, even if you don't stop there. But other than that, you never take damage from simply moving into a space, even if it has minions on it. And don't forget about your base movement on your player board when you're planning out your turn. If you ever move into the not-so-secret lab and the shiny shield is there, you can take it and store it on your player board. And you can spend that later to block 1 point of damage. After you use it, it goes back on the not-so-secret lab space so it can be collected again later in the game. If you're ever on the same space as another character on your turn, you are allowed to trade with them. This can be an actual trade or a gift, so you can give them something without getting anything back. You can only make 1 trade with 1 character on your turn. You can trade 1 card from your hand, you can trade the shiny shield, you can trade the wood katana of the dead, or you can trade any amount of money. If you give a card from your hand to another player, that card goes in the other player's hand, and then it stays with them until it's either traded back or traded to another player. Attacks can be used to either attack minions or attack the villain, but unless an ability says otherwise, you can only attack in your current location. And don't forget about your skills when you're tallying up your attacks each round. To attack a minion, match the color of your attack to the color of the minion. Single color minions only require 1 attack to defeat, and 2 color minions require both colors to be matched, so that's going to take 2 attack actions to defeat a 2-colored minion. But 2 color minions have to be fully defeated in 1 turn. Damage doesn't carry over between turns. When you defeat a minion by attacking it, set the token next to your player board and you'll get money and skills upgrades for each minion you defeat at the end of your turn. And you'll also take damage from any biting minions that you defeat. If you ever use an action that says to scare away a minion, or you use Knuckles to scare away a minion, they do get discarded from the board, but you don't get any rewards for them. You only get rewards and take damage from minions you defeat with an attack, not ones that you scare away. You can also attack the villain if you're both on the same space. When you attack the villain, they're going to roll their villain dice and they may block attacks of a certain color. So if you're attacking with any wild attacks, you need to declare what color that wild is before you roll the dice. And you can use the indicator tokens to declare how each wild attack will be used. To attack the villain, tally up the total number of attacks in each color that you're going to attack with, including any skills that you're using, then roll both villain dice. So pretending that I haven't already used these 2 attacks to attack these 2 minions, I could attack with 1 blue and 1 purple, and then I would roll the villain dice. Shields block all of your attacks of that color, but all other colors would be successful. So with this roll, Hen would block my purple attack, but not my blue attack. This icon causes damage back to me, and I'll track that on my player board. And each asterisk rolled activates the villain power on their player board. For the Hen, that's to reduce 1 skill of your choice for each one rolled. All damage done when you're attacking the villain from both sides is simultaneous. So even if their dice would take your health to 0, you still land your attacks, and you attack first, then resolve your powers. So even if their power would reduce a skill you're using on the attack, you still land that attack. After accounting for any blocked attacks, tally up your total successful attacks and reduce the villain's health by that much on their health counter. So because Hen blocked my purple attack, I landed 1 blue attack and reduced their health by 1 down to 34. And they also hit me for 2, so I'll reduce my health by 2. After you finish your attack, check the back of the top enemy card and take the rewards shown for each color attack that you successfully landed. You only take the reward once per color, but you get the reward for each color that was successfully attacked, except for the last round. In the last round, there's no card in this space, so you don't get any rewards when you attack the villain. For blue attacks, you can discard the number of minions shown that contain that color. That's 1 or 2 color minions as long as they contain the color shown. So because I landed a blue attack, I can discard 2 minions that have red. So I could discard this one and this one. And because these are part of a reward, they just get discarded. They don't go next to my board, so I'm not going to get money for them at the end of my turn. For red attacks, you gain the health shown. Unless you're knocked out, then you don't gain any health. Purple attacks let you increase skill, either 1 skill by 2 or 2 skills by 1. And yellow attacks let you gain the money shown. Now, even though I did attack with purple because that was blocked, I'm not going to get the purple reward. When you're attacking, if you have the wood katana of the dead on your board, you can spend that to add 4 points of unblockable damage to any attack. But once it's used, it's discarded for the game. It's a one-time use item. To use the Knuckles action, take Knuckles from wherever he is and put him on any space of the board, except for the villain's current location, unless a card ability specifically allows him to be on the same location as the villain. When you move Knuckles into a location, he immediately scares off up to 2 minions. If there's any minions left after those 2 are scared off, then it's too scary for him to stay there and he moves back to his starting location. But if he scares off all of the minions, then he stays in that space. If Knuckles is in a location, then no minion tokens can be placed there and minions can't move into that space. But if the villain moves into Knuckles' space, that's way too scary to handle and he runs back to his starting space. After you've finished all of your actions, you must discard any cards that you used any part of, even if you didn't use all of the available actions. If you used anything from a card, it goes in your discard pile at the end of your turn. If you have any cards that you didn't use at all, then you can choose to keep those in your hand until the next round, or you can choose to discard. After you discard, gain 1 coin for each single color minion and 2 coins for each 2 color minion that you defeated that round. And that's regular or biting minions. So because I defeated 2 single color minions, I will take 2 coins. And then, because they bite, take 1 damage for each single color biting minion and 2 damage for each 2 colored biting minion that you defeated that round. I defeated 1 biting minion, so I'm going to move my health down by 1 space. And finally, move each skill cube 1 space to the right for each color on every minion defeated. So 1 color minions move 1 cube and 2 color minions move 2 cubes. I defeated a blue and a purple minion, so I'll move my blue cube and my purple cube up by 1 space. If I had also defeated a purple and a red minion, I would move my purple and my red cube up 1 space also. Once you're finished, put all of the minions you defeated into the minion discard pile. Next, draw up to a full hand of 4 cards, or 5 cards if you're in the same space as another character, and then it's time to place minion tokens. To place minions, draw 1 at a time from the bag and place 1 token on each space connected to your current space, but not your actual current space. And don't forget about connected spaces that wrap around the board. You can place them in any order you want, and inside the bag there's actual minions and there's minion effect tokens. Once you've placed tokens on every space connected to your current space, resolve all of the minion effect tokens and then discard the effects to the discard pile. There's a few different effects that you may run into with minion effect tokens. You could lose money, reduce skills, cover actions on your cards, and there's a list of all of the effects on page 6 of the rulebook. If you draw a move token like this one, then all of the minions that contain that color, whether they're single or double color minions, will move to characters on connected locations. So in this case, any minion containing yellow is going to move to a character if there's one in a connected space. So this one will move here, this one moves here, and if there's more than 1 space that minion can move to, like this one, you get to choose where it goes. So we'll move this one over here. And finally, all 3 of these are going to move here because they are all connected to a space with a character. And remember, minions can never move onto a space with Knuckles, whether he's alone or with another character. If the minion doesn't have any connected spaces with characters, then they won't move. And don't forget to check the spaces that wrap around the board when you're moving minions. After you resolve a minion effect, put the token in the discard pile, and if you ever run out of tokens in the bag, just refill from the discard pile. After you've placed and resolved all of the tokens, check location limits. If the total number of minions on a space is more than the location limit, equal is fine, but if it's more, that location is lost and it becomes a minion nest. Minion effect tokens and the villain do not count towards the location limit. So here, this location has 3 minions, so that one's okay, but this one has 6 and the limit is 5, so this location has been lost. When you lose a location, cover the location name with a nest token. If there's a nest token still on the villain board, take the one highest on the board. Otherwise, take tokens from the supply at the bottom of the villain board. So because we lost this location, we're going to take this nest token and place it over the location name. Once a location is lost, it remains a nest for the rest of the game. When you move on to a lost location, you immediately lose 1 health, but you don't lose anything when you move off of a nest. Knuckles can still go to lost locations, and you still add tokens to lost locations just like normal at the end of your turn, and they have no limit to the number of minions they can hold. If you ever lose the not-so-secret lab and the shiny shield is still on it, put the shiny shield back in the box and it's out for the rest of the game. If a character is ever on a location when it's lost, they immediately lose 1 health and they're moved to the Cavern of Sarcastic Echoes. If that location is already lost when they're moved there, they lose 1 additional health. And the final part of your turn, after you've added and resolved all of the minion tokens, is to take damage from any biting minions that are on your current location. You'll lose 1 health for every 1 color biting minion and 2 health for every 2 color biting minions on your location. So because there's a 1 color biting minion on this location, I'll lose 1 more health on my player board. If your health is ever reduced to 0, you're KO'd and you'll need to be revived, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Once each player has taken their turn for the round, it's time for the market phase where you can upgrade the cards in your hand by buying upgrades from the rat market. The cost of each card is shown on the top right corner of the card, and you'll track the money you spend on your player board. There's no turn order, and you can discuss strategy and what you want to upgrade freely with other players, and as soon as a card is purchased, it's refilled from the corresponding draw pile, so the market is always full. You can buy as many cards as you want to and can afford to on your turn, but buying upgrades is always optional, and you always have the option to pay 1 coin to flush the market and discard any number of cards that you want to and then replace them with new cards. And you can do that multiple times on the same turn. When you buy an upgrade card, you can add it to any card in your hand, but never your draw pile or your discard pile. This means that you'll be upgrading the cards that you're going to use on your next turn, so be sure to discuss strategy and your next turns with your teammates so you can maximize the effectiveness of the upgrades that you're making. When you upgrade a card, slide the clear card into the card sleeve on top of the card and any existing upgrades. There's no limit to the number of upgrades one card can have, but you can never cover up an icon on the left side of your card. So I couldn't make this upgrade to this card because the blue icon covers up the red icon that's already there. If you buy an upgrade that can't be added to any of the cards in your hand, you can set it to the side and add it to a card the next time you draw cards. And now let's talk about the villain's turn. This is the final part of every round and it happens after the market phase. Flip the top card of the villain deck and follow the steps in order from top to bottom. First, move the villain to the location shown. In this case, that's underwear. If they were to move to a location with the player character, that character immediately takes 1 damage. And if they move to the same space as Knuckles, Knuckles gets scared and goes back to his starting location. Next, move any minions that contain the color shown on the card. This is the same process as a minion effect token. Any minions with that color will move to an adjacent space with a character if they can. We have already moved all of the yellow minions to spaces with characters from that minion effect token, so no minions are going to move from this card. If the villain card shows the villain die, roll 1 die until a color is shown, and that's the color that you'll move. The level 4 card does not have a move minion step, and remember, minions can never move into Knuckles' location. After you move minions, add 1 minion to every location with a spider nest on it. In this case, that's going to be 1 minion added to this location right here. And finally, follow the steps on the skull area of the villain board. At the beginning of the game, this will only be the top space, but as locations are lost and nest tokens are removed, new actions will be added to the villain's turn. Villain actions are resolved from top to bottom, and page 9 has details on all of the villain powers. So for Hin, their base power is to add 1 minion token to Hin's current location. So we would add 1 minion to underwear. Because we already have 1 nest, Hin has a second ability, which is to move Knuckles to his cave and lay him on his side to hibernate. And the next time someone uses the Knuckles ability, they'll stand him up, but they won't move him to a location to scare off minions. After the villain has finished all of their actions, check location limits again and resolved any lost locations just like you do at the end of a player's turn. After the villain's turn, the next round begins and the first player stays the same for the entire game. After the 4th card is removed, there's a reminder that you're on the last round of the game, and on the final round, there's no villain turn, and attacking the villain doesn't give you any rewards, it only reduces their health. If at any point your health is reduced to 0, you're knocked out temporarily. When you get KO'd, lay your figure on its side as a reminder. If you're KO'd during combat, you still get to finish your combat and deal any damage, but after that, you can't do any actions or participate in any trades until you're revived. You also can't benefit from card effects from other players, and you aren't affected by villain effects. And there's a full list of KO'd restrictions on page 10 of the rulebook. When you're knocked out, you can be revived by another player, or you can revive yourself. Another player can revive you by being on the same location and discarding 1 card from their hand. And you can revive yourself by moving all of your skill cubes down 1 space, but you never move a skill lower than 0. If you're still KO'd at the beginning of the market phase, you must revive yourself before the market phase begins. Once you're revived, stand your character up and move their health to the space with the heart tab, which is going to be halfway up your health track. The game can end in 4 ways. You only win if you're able to defeat the villain before the end of round 5, and you lose if they have any health left after round 5. You also lose if you ever lose Mud Canyon or if all of the characters are KO'd at the same time. If the game feels a little too difficult or you want to try some variety, there's alternate gameplay suggestions and rules for solo play on page 11 of the rulebook. And that's Ham Helsing. If you have any questions, be sure to leave us a comment below and we'll answer as quick as we can. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.